Welcome everybody to look at the fourth film in the Sean Connery six film collection, all on Steelbook, all on 4K format, and it is 1965's Thunderball. So this is directed by Terence Young, and this will be his third and final James Bond directorial effort. And yeah, this clocks in at 130 minutes long, so the longest film in the series, and it would be until On Her Majesty's Secret Service a few years later. And yeah, had a budget of $9 million. So that's three times the amount of Goldfinger, and yet the box office return was $141.2 million. So not only is that more than Goldfinger, but it'd be the most any film in the series would make up until Live and Let Die, 8 years later, and that was obviously Roger Moore's debut effort. So yeah, outside of the usual cast returning, we've also got Claudine Auger, I think she's called. She was in the likes of Triple Cross, which was also directed by Terence Young, as well as the Bermuda Triangle, which we've already reviewed in the past. Also stars Adolfo Celi, who we've reviewed before, but he was in the likes of Grand Prix, Who Saw Her Die, The Italian Connection, and Fragment of Fear. And then it also stars Luciana Paluzzi, who was also in The Italian Connection, as well as The Green Slime. And finally, Martine Beswick, who was also in From Russia with Love. She was one of the gypsy girls that are fighting over the same lover, although she was miscredited as Martin Beswick. So if you've never really noticed, then that's why. She was also fantastic in the Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde Hammer effort, as well as 1 Million Years BC and From a Whisper to a Scream. So James Bond heads to the Bahamas to recover two nuclear warheads stolen by Spectre agent Emilio Largo in an international extortion scheme. So obviously one of the parts of the acronym of Spectre is extortion, and that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to get £100 million worth of diamonds out of the British government, or they'll explode one of the nukes in either a US or UK city. So yeah, although I definitely can understand the criticisms that this has had over the years, chiefly the length and the massive amount of underwater scenes that are in this film, I still find this to be a highly enjoyable effort. This is due to it coming across as a mix of Doctor No with its exotic locale and inclusion of Spectre, and Goldfinger with its nuclear based villain plan, and the sizable end action scene between two opposing forces. The score is also once again great. I also really rather like the song by Tom Jones. Does seem like it's trying to replicate Goldfinger in certain ways in terms of the bombast and the horns and such. But to be honest, Goldfinger I feel is a little bit overplayed nowadays, whereas Thunderball does seem to be a little bit underrated, and that's for my money my current favourite of this the songs from this period outside of maybe You Only Live Twice, which we'll be looking at next. And yeah, it's also well paced. The cast is once again on point, and it is engaging throughout. It's also got really well good cinematography, the locales are well used, the production is solid, and even though it's not perhaps the absolute classic that the prior films were, I do still enjoy it practically as much. But yeah, I can certainly see the criticisms that this has had. It perhaps doesn't use its 2 hour 10 running time to the fullest. I guess. Apparently, around a quarter of the film is set underwater, so you can certainly see why some people might get a little bit miffed with that. But yeah, on the whole, I do really enjoy this one, and yeah, it's just a really rather fun film, and there's some interesting production parts to this film as well, including how the ship Disco Volante, no, yeah, Disco Volante was made. It was basically two ships that were welded together, uh, and the way it was exploded in the end in spectacular fashion. I always thought it was a miniature, but actually it was the actual full size ship that was exploded, despite them only having one of them. So if that went wrong, then God knows what they would have done. Um, but yeah, they basically used a experimental rocket fuel to blow it up, and that reportedly blew out windows 30 miles away. They used that much of it, so yeah, but it does look spectacular, and yeah, we've also got the jetpack that is used in this as well, which is used in the opening scene, which is unrelated to the rest of the plot, but still has some impact in general because Bond gets injured in the opening scene, and that's where he's been taken off to a spa, and that's where the main plot launches from, basically. So yeah, on the whole, a really, really fantastic film. Another 5 out of 5 from me. Um, Although unfortunately, this run of hit or high quality films would not last, because you only lose twice is out of, after this one, and then it gets even lower than that with Diamonds Are Forever. But yeah, that's another for another review, quite frankly. But still, do highly recommend this if you haven't seen it before. Obviously, if you've not seen any of the Bond films, then I do recommend starting from the beginning and working your way forwards. Um, but yeah, it's still a great film, and yeah, 60 years on, it doesn't really seem to have aged all that much. In all honesty, and there's one element to this that does show a little bit of evolution in terms of the film series overall, and that is it is a bit more violent. There was a lot more blood in this. Bond, in fact, even gets shot in the leg, and there's a lot of blood from his leg that is shown, and such. So yeah, it's that little bit more violent, but I don't think the violence would really get come back for quite some time. In fact, I think you'd have to wait until Timothy Dalton's second and only other film to really get violent in this series. But you know, it is still at least a lot better in terms of violence than say Doctor No, where obviously Sean Connery shoots the professor a couple of times and there's no blood at all. So there is at least that. So yeah, but on the whole, well worth the watch. And yeah, like I said, one of my favourites from the Connerys period. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching. If you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.